All right. We're going to get right to it. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Spencer. Um, Richard did something really unusual, which is not unusual. Richard seems to be our forerunner. He runs out and checks out things and then comes back and tells us whether they're worth it or not. He's like the two spies that went into Canaan to check it out and came back and said, "Yeah, let's go do this."
Let's go to this.
Um, he has done something called Kickstarter, which is a whole different way of promoting your work and making money. So, without any further ado, I am going to turn things over to the delightful Mr. Spencer. And let me just say one more thing. Um, we had a cancellation. We had a different speaker that was going to do tonight, and they had to cancel because of family situations and difficulties going through right now. And Mr. Spencer was good enough to pick up the ball and run with it. And so let's just give him a hand before he even starts and just say thank you for stepping in. This is something he really does care about, and he wants all of us to know what um, advantages we can get from doing our Kickstarter campaign. So, Mr. Spencer, it's all you.
Okay. I did a Kickstarter back in November, and it was a successful campaign. It was not a big campaign. And I was really just testing the waters to see what it would take to do a campaign. And it, it all worked out in the end. I didn't make a whole lot of money, but there were several things that were missing from my campaign that I found out later are really necessary if you want to really hit the 4 and 5 figures. So I'm going to share my screen and get started with the PowerPoint. Now that's going to take about 20, 25 minutes. Then we'll open it up to questions if you have any questions on what was on the thing. And I want to end with showing you a real world example of a Kickstarter campaign that was incredibly successful, um, run by a guy who epitomizes average. If this guy can do it, anybody can. So that's how the evening is going to go. So let me share that screen. Um, um, well, as I said, tonight I'm going to talk about something that has really changed the landscape for independent authors, and it's called Kickstarter. Uh, Most of us think that publishing is something that happens after a book is finished, but Kickstarter has flipped that idea completely. It allows you to fund your book before it's produced, while at the same time you're building an audience around it. Now, tonight I'm going to break this whole thing down into 3 simple parts. We're going to talk about what Kickstarter is, why it's so powerful, and how to run a campaign. And we'll look at those one at a time. Um, at its core, Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform. Instead of one publisher or investor funding your project, your readers fund it directly. People called backers pledge money to support your project. And in return, they receive the rewards that you define in your campaign. For an author, it's usually ebooks, signed copies, either paperback or hardback, and special editions. And you can also include swag or merchandise, things that are book related that you can add on to the campaign to generate extra revenue. And the one thing that makes Kickstarter really different is it's an all or nothing situation. If you set a goal of, say, $5,000 and only raise 4,900, you get nothing. When I was running my campaign, I watched a guy who actually did that. He set a goal of $17,000 and he raised 16,600. He came up short and he left $16,000 on the table. So how you set your goal in your campaign is critically important. But now, if you hit your goal, even by $1, then your campaign funds. And that creates trust for your backers. They know that projects will not move forward unless they're viable. And how it works. This is just a little flow chart that'll show you how it works. Over on the left, you create your campaign and you establish a funding goal. Then you run the campaign for up to 30 days. And during that time, backers view your site and they pledge money for one reward or another that you have posted on your campaign. And then if your campaign actually funds, then all of those pledges are collected by Kickstarter. They handle all of the financial transactions. And when the dust settles, they cut you a check. And then you use other people's money to fulfill all the promises that you made during the campaign. So it's a great way to, it costs absolutely nothing to create the campaign. And if it doesn't fund, you don't lose a nickel. If it does fund, you take that money and you procure everything that you promised, whether it's a paperback or a hard copy. You place your order, you pack them up, and you ship them out. And that's your fulfillment. Now, Kickstarter works because it taps into a few key things. First is urgency. There's a limited time for people to pledge and be part of your campaign. The second is excitement. People like to become part of something as it's happening. And the third one is a shared investment. Backers feel like they're part of bringing something into existence. And this emotional connection that you get through the campaign is something traditional publishing doesn't provide. Now, more and more authors are using Kickstarter these days. There are literally tens of thousands of campaigns running at any given time on Kickstarter. The biggest reason is really simple. You sell the book before you print it. That reduces your risk dramatically. There's no guessing about how many copies to print, and you're not hoping people are going to buy them later. You already know the demand, and that makes it ideal for launching new books, funding special editions, and relaunching old titles. Kickstarter gives you complete creative freedom. There are no gatekeepers. There's no publisher telling you what cover to use. There's no limit on formats. You can create hardcovers, illustrated editions, sprayed edges, or bundled sets. You build exactly what your reader wants, not what a publisher thinks will sell. And there's higher earnings per book. When you sell through Amazon, your margins are limited. On Kickstarter, you're selling directly to your readers, and that allows you to bundle items. You can offer premium editions, which increases the average order value. Instead of making a few dollars per book, you might make significantly more per backer. And you're building an audience. This is probably the most important benefit. Kickstarter is not just about funding. It's about building a community. Your backers often become your newsletter subscribers, your repeat supporters, and your long-term readers. And the key is many authors run multiple campaigns, and the same backers come back again and again to buy your books. Over time, you're not just launching books, you're building a following. And when you're running a Kickstarter campaign, it really comes down to 6 stages. The first one is you sit down and you plan. You plan out exactly how you're going to structure the campaign. Then you go to the Kickstarter website and you build it. Then you go through a pre-launch phase. And this is where you build your audience. And then once you've accomplished everything you need with the pre-launch, you push the button and it goes live on the Kickstarter website. Then during the number of days that you have selected to run the campaign, you actually have to run it. There's a lot of things that you do day to day while your campaign is running. And then once it successfully funds, now you have to deliver. And everything fits into those 6 steps. And we're going to cover them one at a time. Your planning is the most important stage. You have to know what you're going to offer. You have to decide exactly what rewards you're going to put on your campaign. And then you have to know who it's for. You have to know your audience. This is going to be different for different genres. A campaign that I would create for my fantasy writing is going to be very different than what a romance writer would create or a horror writer. Those 3 campaigns would look very, very different. And you have to know what will make it compelling. You have to have something in your campaign that's going to set it apart from everybody else, because there are literally tens of thousands of people on this website. And you have to make it compelling so they want to go to your campaign and see what all of the buzz is about. And ideally, you want to build some interest before you launch. And to do that, you would include things like your email list, social media, or early supporters. Because launching without an audience is one of the biggest reasons that campaigns struggle. And you have to set a funding goal. And that goal needs to be based on real numbers. You have to look at the printing costs, shipping, packaging. There are fees sometimes that go along with some of these. You have to do your due diligence and research so you know exactly what it's going to cost before you go live with it. And you always build in a buffer. You want to have a cushion built in, usually 10%, that if something comes up that's unforeseen, it's not going to hurt you. because there are situations where people have not done their due diligence. They set a goal, they made the goal just by a little bit, and there was not enough profit from the campaign to fund everything that they had promised. So they wound up, even with a successful campaign, going in the red with it. Then you build your reward tiers. Um, these are how people support you. You create these reward tiers, you set a price on them. Then people go through your campaign, they select a tier, and then they back you at that tier for that amount of money. Um, and a typical structure for these reward tiers would be ebooks, signed paperbacks, signed hardbacks, and special editions. And you don't need to crowd your reward tiers with a lot of stuff. You don't need 20 options. Clarity is more important here than variety. And then you would actually build your campaign. You take all your planning and you go to the Kickstarter website and you actually construct your campaign elements on the website. You build your page one step at a time. You need to include videos, at least one. 80% of all successful campaigns have at least one video in it. Then you create a section called the story. This is where you tell your story. It includes things about yourself, things about your book, and then why people should support your campaign. All of those elements are contained in your story. Then you build your reward tiers. These are on the left-hand side of the page as you view a campaign. And these are the reward tiers. It's what you're offering for a specific amount of money. And then backers can peruse those tiers, find one that suits them, and pledge that amount of money. So that when your campaign funds, that's what they will receive. And there's stretch goals that you can include. These are additional rewards that backers are going to get when you reach a specific financial plateau. Say you set a goal of, say, $1,000, and you wind up hitting $2,000. Then you might have a stretch goal where everybody who has pledged to your campaign would receive, say, an additional chapter in the book, a bonus chapter, or maybe a fancy bookmark, something extra. It's a way that you reward your backers when you're going over your goal. And it's not uncommon for people to have 6 or 7 of these stretch goals at different points in the campaign. If you set a goal for $1,000 and you wind up collecting 20,000, there's a lot of room for stretch goals. And then you can put add-ons. This is additional merchandise that's book related. It can be even something as simple as a coffee cup, or digital artwork, images of the characters in your book. There's a lot of different things that you can put in as an add-on that it just simply generates additional revenue. And before you ever click the launch button, there's a phase that people overlook, and it's the pre-launch. The pre-launch is what you do before your campaign goes live. The key here is most successful campaigns were won before they launch. If you launch with no audience, You're starting from zero. And Kickstarter does not magically bring you traffic. Instead, it rewards campaigns that already have momentum. So if you can bring in early backers on day one, Kickstarter is much more likely to promote your project. You think of it this way, launch day should feel like opening night, not a rehearsal. And it's also where you gather followers. Uh, your most valuable asset here is your email list, not your social media and not ads. It's your email list. Before launching, you want readers, you want followers, and you want interested prospects. And you can build all of this through your existing audience, newsletter signups, and to some degree, your social media engagement. The big thing here is Kickstarter allows you to create a pre-launch page. And very prominent on that page is a big button that says notify me on launch. And it's incredibly valuable. You want people to look at your pre-launch page and hit that big button. That way you create a pool of people who are already interested and ready to act when you launch. And it's how you guarantee early success. You don't surprise your audience with a launch. What you want to do is bring them along through the process. You talk to these people about the book, the process, the rewards, and what makes it special. So by the time you launch, people should already be thinking, I want a piece of this. You want a group of people ready to back your project on day one. And your goal is to hit strong momentum in that first 24 to 48 hours. It's this momentum that drives the rest of the campaign. And then once you've accomplished everything that you wanted with your pre-launch, then you hit the button, you launch. This takes your campaign live on the Kickstarter website. And it's that first 48 hours that really matters the most. A strong start here often determines the entire campaign. And then once you've launched, now you need to run the campaign. You need to stay engaged in the process. You don't just kick back and wait for your 21 days or 30 days to expire and see whether or not you got funded. You want to stay active. You're engaged in your campaign. You're watching to see how many backers you've got. How much of your goal have you reached? What's the hot item in your reward tiers? Because see, you can make changes to your campaign at any time. If you see that one thing is succeeding and another one is not, you can make changes. And you want to post updates. As you begin to collect backers, you want to keep them updated. Let them know how things are going. Because remember, they want to feel part of the journey. So you need to post the updates. And you need to respond to comments. If somebody takes the time to comment on your campaign, you need to be respectful and respond to that comment quickly. And in general, you just keep people engaged. Backers are not just customers. They're participants, and you need to treat them that way. And then your campaign runs its course and you're funded. Now you have to deliver on everything that you promised. Once you're successful and your campaign funds, Kickstarter is going to collect all the money from the backers. They're going to do all of the financial stuff. Then they're going to take their share, which is 5% of the gross. Then you're also going to have to pay for the credit card processing. That's another 3 to 5%. And then they will cut you a check for what's left. But after the funding, it actually comes the hard work, the fulfillment. Because you're responsible for production. If you had put a tricked out hardcover in one of your tiers and you got 37 people ordered that book, now you have to go to whoever you'd already decided on that's going to produce that hardback and place the order. You need to stay on top of all of these things so you can stick to the schedule that you've already promised these people. It includes the shipping. They're going to pay the shipping as part of you put that into the tiers. But there's more to it than just the payment for the shipping. You have to have whatever kind of packing that you're going to put these books in. So everything that you need to actually ship these products to your backers, you have to have on hand. The shipping labels. All of these things can be printed in advance because you already know who is going to get what. And then communication. You've got to stay in communication with your backers. You stay transparent. If things are going well and you're going to be able to ship ahead of schedule, you tell them. If something comes up that's going to delay some element, then you tell them that too. You stay transparent so they know exactly what's going on. And then there's a few things that can go south. When you launch without an audience, that's one of the surest ways to cut down the effectiveness of your campaign. Not including a video is a big mistake. Underestimating the cost and not doing your due diligence can cost you. And overcomplicating reward tiers. I've seen some people that had a campaign where I simply could not make heads or tails. I wasn't sure what was included in a reward tier. And it just discourages people. And then they go look for other campaigns that are easier to navigate. And the biggest one is lack of preparation. And that happens in the planning stage. You have got to pay your dues. You've got to do the things that are necessary to make your campaign succeed. And that's it, folks. I'm going to stop sharing and I'll try to answer any questions that you might have thought of. Anybody have a question? Yes. I see that hand.
Who's that?
What was it, Barbara?
Barbara, you have to unmute yourself. We should all unmute ourselves at this point.
Yeah, sorry about that. When does the money come involved in, and it's in a bucket, it's over here, and you're doing all this stuff. When does the money come to the author?
Okay, that's at the end. If your campaign funds, then the day that your campaign closes, Kickstarter begins to collect the money from all of the backers. And once they've collected all the money, they take out their fees, and then they cut you a check. You generally get the money maybe 2 weeks after your campaign closed.
Well, when do you mail out all the product?
Well, it depends on what the product is. You certainly don't want to do anything until Kickstarter is finished, um, because there are always people that renege on their pledge. Not a lot, but some. And you don't want to go ahead and send somebody an ebook and then have them renege on you.
Yeah.
So you wait, and everybody expects this. Everybody that's backing things on Kickstarter understands that they're not going to get it the next day. So you wait until it funds, and then the digital stuff can go out quickly. Your ebooks, any kind of digital artwork, or extra bonus chapters, all of those things can be distributed quickly and cheaply. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that. Now, if it's a paperback, I had a lot of paperbacks already on hand. So all I had to do, I sold 7. Woohoo! I signed 7 of them. I put them in an envelope and I mailed them.
And that's after you got paid.
After I got paid, yes, ma'am.
Right.
But if you have a special edition, something that's going to have to be produced, that's going to cost you maybe $25 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you certainly want to wait for the money. Then once you get the money, you place the order. It'll take, a week or two for you to get those books back. Then once you do, you sign them and you ship them out. But in your campaign, you specify when you're going to do fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will schedule fulfillment 2 months after the campaign closes.
Oh, wow.
And the people that are backing campaigns on Kickstarter are not upset by that. They expect it. The people that back Kickstarter campaigns are very, very different from the people that buy your book on Amazon. On Amazon, it's pulling teeth to get them to give you $3 for an ebook. People have no trouble selling an ebook for $10 on Kickstarter. Everybody expects it. You can sell a paperback for $25. You can sell a regular hardback for $25 or $35. You can sell a tricked out one for $75. And it might cost you $25 to have it printed. So your margin in Kickstarter is way higher than just about any other platform that you can sell your books from.
And a lot of that reason is because you're doing a lot of the work yourself. You're actually packaging and mailing everything out.
Well, and if you don't want to do that, they are people that will do it for you for a fee.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that will fulfill all of that for you. They'll package and ship them. Now, me, I'm cheap. I want to keep all the money.
You earned it.
But you don't have to. They are people that make their living fulfilling Kickstarter campaigns.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question?
I do too.
Okay.
John, you go first.
I had 2 questions. Actually, I had one question on the funding goals. Does that include all your editing, formatting, cover art, everything, all your expenses for producing a book?
No.
Yeah, if you want that covered by your Kickstarter, then yes, you would include all of that.
Then,
any expense that you want the campaign to reimburse you with, then make sure you include it.
okay, and then the other question.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The other question I had, I thought this is for written but unpublished books, but you said you had them in stock to ship, so you can do one that's previously published?
Oh, sure. You can. There are people that will run a campaign on a backlist. You can run a campaign on anything you want. And Kickstarter is not just about books. The people on Kickstarter, board games, people that invent these board games, the role-playing games, there's a lot of them that run Kickstarter campaigns to cover all of the cost of producing this board game. People who invent things run Kickstarter campaigns. There was one recently on a new 3D printer. It's the one where it creates the object while it's submerged in the resin using UV light. These units were going to sell for $4,000 a piece. That campaign netted $43 million.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different people that do a lot of different things on Kickstarter. But just the ones just authors, they are tens of thousands at any given time. Every genre you can imagine.
What's the advantage of doing this?
Well, if I were to have do my campaign over again, I would have had a what they call bespoke hardback. There would have been sprayed edges. There would have been foil covers. There would have been fancy dust jackets. They would have been color in papers. They would have been all kinds of things like that, because that's what sells the best. And I didn't have one. I would have done much better if I would have won it, but I didn't know how to do it. And I was a little hesitant. But if I had it to do over again, I would have jumped in there with both feet. And I will be doing another Kickstarter campaign soon on my second book. And there will be a tricked out hardback. Did that help, John?
Yeah, could I ask one more question? You said you have to have a video. How do you do that?
Oh, videos are simple. You can do it with your phone. CJ is going to train everybody on how to do it. No, making videos on your phone are really simple. And I'll bet we could talk CJ into doing a act 2 on how to make a video. You would do that, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I don't know if I could teach that. I don't know. Maybe something. Let me think about that one. Let me think about it.
And if all else fails, I could do that.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
The pledges. So all the people are making pledges, but they're not paying for them. They're just a pledge.
Their credit cards are not charged until your campaign funds.
Okay, so your campaign funds, then the credit cards are charged. Yeah,
by Kickstarter.
So
you're not involved in any of that.
If you don't meet your goal, you're not obligated to meet all of those things they paid for?
No.
Okay.
It's understood. It's understood that if your campaign does not fund, nobody is charged and nobody gets anything.
And then can you see where you're at?
Absolutely. The analytics are incredible.
So if you got $500 away from a $17,000 goal, why didn't you just do it yourself?
Right.
Boy, ain't that
I was
the truth.
thinking the same thing.
Ain't that the truth?
Been on
I
there
could
going
not
like,
understand.
Here's
I couldn't
a
understand
$500
why they
pledge to myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That's the thing I didn't understand about that guy. He only had $600 or $700.
Yeah.
Right?
Man, I'd have done it myself.
Definitely.
I would have too. I would have figured it out. So how do you get, what do you get for taxes? Are you going to get a form? Is it, because it's not a paycheck. You don't get a paycheck.
No, Kickstarter takes care of everything. They take care of the sales tax. They pay the sales tax to the states because see,
Oh,
you've got people from all over the world that are. I only had 24 backers. One of them was from Austria.
that's
Um,
awesome.
um, but Kickstarter takes care of all of that, and I'm not sure. Um, I didn't make enough. You got to have $600 before you get a 1099.
So that
But
would
I
be
don't
considered
know.
royalties? Would it be considered you got royalties
It's
from them?
income. It's income, and you should charge it. You should claim it. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure but I don't really know how Kickstarter handles that for somebody that's making a ton of money.
yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of reporting.
So do
Now
you
you had
want
a
to?
question, Mike.
Well, I want you to show us the one that you were talking about, the one that is doing so
Okay,
well. Go right
okay,
ahead.
all right. Is there any other quick questions before we go into the final phase here?
Yeah,
Yes.
Richard, are the majority of the Kickstarter participants previous authorship type Kickstarters, or are they folks that just generally get involved in a program irrelative to what the project is? In other
Um,
words, are they other would-be writers as well, or no?
Oh, there's tens of thousands of authors that have campaigns ongoing at
Got it.
any given time.
Got it.
There is no shortage, but there's hundreds of thousands of when you look at Kickstarter as a whole, it's a huge number of people that run Kickstarter campaigns. But I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you a real world example of a campaign that's ongoing as we speak. If I can figure out how to do that.
Don't forget to push the audio
Oh,
button.
gotta push the audio button. Okay. Now, this is um uh, it's a guy that wrote this. It's a deluxe edition Shinto inspired fantasy. He named it He Who Ate the Wild. If you can see over here, if you can follow my cursor, he pledged $500. That was his goal. And currently he's sitting at 10,150. He's acquired 138 backers. I acquired 24. And he's got 17 days left. So he's only less than halfway through this campaign. This is a picture of him. This is his video. It started this way. It's just a picture of his book. Now there's two sections as you go. This is the story, and this goes down the center. He's going to talk about audio production if they hit a $10,000 mark, which is unlocked. He talks about the book. This is what his dust jacket is going to look like. And it's a Kickstarter exclusive. It will never be sold anywhere else. Then he talks about the art and design. His dust jacket is all in Japanese. This I thought was a little much. This is what his chapter headings look like. But this is what the book looks like without the dust jacket. It's just white with the Japanese title on it. His artwork is really good. This is the cover of the paperback. And this is some of the color artwork that appear on the inside of the book. This is the full color in papers that's on the deluxe edition. And then it goes in and describes all of his rewards. That's a long section. He's got, I think, 5 different tiers. Then there's add-ons. These are the things that we're talking about. Take book-related stuff and make it available, and then it just increases your revenue. The art prints are $10. These enamel pins are $8. The bookmarks are $5, and he's got a keychain for $8. So there's a lot of add-ons that he has. Then he talks about his stretch goals. He had one at 2 that's opened, the one at 4,000, the one at 6,000, 8, and 10. All of these are unlocked. So all of his backers are going to get all of this stuff. The foiled dust jacket, exterior artwork, colored interior artwork, and an audio book. And essentially, this is something that he's just providing for the people if he reaches that particular goal. And there's some reviews, and it talks about himself, and he talks about shipping. There's a required AI policy in Kickstarter, and he has said that he has not knowingly used or commissioned any AI on this project. And it's my firm stance to work with non-generative artists. Then this is another required section, the risk and challenges. And now we'll look at the other side over here. Now, this is a picture of him. This is a little bit about him. You can see this is his first campaign. He's never done a Kickstarter before. And he's backed 10 other campaigns. This starts the pledge, rather the tiers on every campaign. You can make a pledge without a reward. In here, you can put an amount. And you're making that $50 pledge, and you get no reward for it. And watch how quickly I delete that. But here's the available rewards. He starts out with his big gun. This is his most expensive tier at $85, and this is what you get. You get the deluxe hardback, you get the paperback, you get the ebook, you get the pen, you get the keychain, and you get this bag of herbs and the fancy bookmark. All of that's included for $85. He's had 39 people paid that $85. And then he goes to his cheapest one. This is an ebook with some artwork for $8. He's had 23 people pledge the $8. Now here's a paperback. It's a paperback ebook and artwork for $25. He's had 15 people pledge to that. Now, here's another tier. It's the hardback and the ebook and the artwork for $55. He's had 59 people pledge to $55. And that's your tiers. And you construct all of this on the Kickstarter website. Now, the interesting thing about this guy, I want to tell you some things. I've researched this guy. This is not his first book. He wrote a series of books. They're on Amazon. I checked them out. And his sales rank on his trilogy places him at, let me see, 7,804. So there are 7,803 people in his category of dark fantasy that are selling better than he is. Now, my own sales rank on Amazon for my first book is 3,754. He is 7,800. Last month, I sold 2 books. So this guy is not setting the world on fire on Amazon. Plus, I checked out his Facebook page. He's got less than 300 followers. So this guy is just average. He doesn't have a huge following. He's not doing very well on Amazon with his previous books. But he has knocked this one out of the park with this book, to the tune of $10,000. So my thinking is, if this guy can do it, anybody can. Does anybody want to see his video?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Put it on. It's not long.
Hey there, I'm author G.J. Terrell. I've written the Binding Tenants trilogy, the Not-So-Mundane Mysteries of Norman Mellamorne, and here most recently, He Who Ate the Wild, which I'm excited to say is now live on Kickstarter. He Who Ate the Wild is a Shinto-inspired dark fantasy that focuses on Kazuki's journey as he ventures into the wilderness in search of his mother. On the way, he encounters spirits, demons, gods, and worse, and loses himself in the process, only to then find himself. It's a semi-atypical hero's journey, perfect for fans who enjoy first-person narrative, lyrical prose, undercurrent of melancholy, and you don't enjoy those sorts of things, but you enjoy special editions, or you like having pretty books for your shelf. The naked foiled hardcover is a clean white with a foiled green and then black sprayed edges. And all those colors mean something in Shintoism. And I just want to say that I hope that my appreciation for the culture and the sort of media that comes through it really shines through.
Okay. Anybody else
Now,
frozen?
as videos go on Kickstarter, that one was very much average. My whole point in showing that was for you to see that if this guy can do it, anybody can. It's available. And the nice thing about the Kickstarter campaign is you risk nothing. Your only investment is your time. And if your campaign funds, you get money. And with that, Mike, I'm done.
All right. Wow. And that brings us
we finished 2 minutes ahead.
2 minutes ahead. All right, folks, let's all give Richard a big hand and thank him. It is our intention. Richard and I are in conversation it's our intention to create a group of people who might be interested in doing a Kickstarter campaign, who want to learn more about it. And the way that Richard did it, he joined a group that met weekly, and they talked about their campaign and they helped each other. And there were some experienced people on there, and it made it so much easier for Richard to work through the process. We would follow that same model. We would bring people together, hold each other accountable, help each other out, and help build these campaigns. And again, use Richard's wisdom to help guide us through the process. But it's something interesting. I want you to think about it. If you are interested, please contact me or Richard, and we'll start formulating a team, and we'll start putting this together. All right. Thank you guys for coming. This was a wonderful meeting. So practical and productive. Thank you, Richard, for all the time you put into creating this PowerPoint and everything for us. We appreciate it.
It was
Thank
my
you.
pleasure.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Ciao for now.